Hey guys, I'm Callie with Agaviationadventures. We're coming at you with a mid-season update. Happy 4th of July. Yeah, it's crazy to say that it's July 4th. Not exactly sure what happened to June, but it's gone. So here we are. If you follow us on Instagram or if you've watched some of our YouTube videos this season, you know that farmers up here are really far behind. So they were about 3 to 4 weeks behind in planting most all of the crops up here. And so usually right now, at the end of June, first part of July, we would be finishing up with our wheat fungicide run. Right now, we have not even sprayed any wheat fungicide, so things are definitely behind. It's looking like kind of a crazy year for us, so we just wanted to show you some of the crops around the area and give you a little bit of an update where we're at. Right now, Tyson's sitting at about a third of the acres that he usually is at this time, and maybe you're thinking like, well, you're just behind, you're going to be able to make up for that. But actually we're not, because we go down to southern Minnesota and Tyson also typically goes to Illinois to spray corn, and their seasons are on time. So those seasons are going to hit at the exact same time that they normally would, while up here in northwest Minnesota, the wheat fungicide run's coming late. So we're going to be doing wheat fungicide while those corn fungicide runs are going to be starting. So he's actually going to miss out on a lot of spraying because of how the seasons are lining up. It's really quite unfortunate, and that's why we're a little bit nervous about the season moving forward. There's only so much time now that we've hit July 1st. There's literally only so much time left in the season to spray, and there's still a lot to be sprayed up here while those seasons down there are starting, so he's definitely going to miss out on some of those big runs that we've had in the past. I thought it'd be interesting to show you guys some of the surrounding crops and where they're at, where they typically would be, and a few things that we've dealt with this season so far in regards to weather and some extreme wind events. So let's hop in the pickup and go take a look. Now, if you're wondering, yes, this is a 2005 Chevy Silverado, 1500 heavy half though. She's been good to us. This sugar beet field is a mile west of the hangar, and it's actually a really good looking field compared to some that we're going to show you here in a short bit. But you can see that there's pretty much growth throughout the entire field. Now pay attention to that. You can see them in the entire field. That's a good thing. It's a good looking crop. It should be a lot bigger than it is right now, but it still looks good. You can see this is dead cover crop. So this field had cover crop spread in it, not by an airplane. Nonetheless, it had the cover crop though, and that was really important this season with the wind event that we had. So at a certain stage of growth of the sugar beet, they came through and killed the cover crop. It was likely a barley cover crop, so you can see a little bit of remnants of that. But overall, this is an awesome looking sugar beet field. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to spray some fungicide on this field if we get wet here in a little bit in Minnesota. Now we're standing in a beet field that is not quite as nice as the one we were just standing in. Unfortunately, this one took some damage from the wind event that we had 2 weeks ago. So on a Saturday 2 weeks ago, we had a 50-mile-an-hour wind out of the southeast, and it was a straight 50-mile-an-hour wind all day. Visibility was less than a mile. It was really wild. Unfortunately, it did a lot of damage to the crops, particularly beet fields like this one. This one actually looks pretty good. There's only about 20 acres missing out of this field, but there are fields in this area and also east of here. 80 to 90% of the crop has been destroyed. So again, this one looks pretty good, but still you can see where the wind tore through. You can see its trajectory, and actually it goes all the way through this field up into the next two fields that way. And again, you can see that line as the wind has moved through here. The crop was obviously a lot smaller and younger at the time, so it had more of an effect on it. This one, you can tell it had a cover crop, but even with that cover crop stand, the wind still broke the crop. And in places, the beans especially almost just looked like they were sandblasted by that dirt that was blowing through. Let's go check out some beans in the area, and then we're also going to take a look at some wheat. The wheat is actually looking pretty good in most areas. Alright, so the wheat in this area looks awesome. We're really excited about it. As you can see, the field looks great, but it is still very far behind. So right now at this point on a typical year, the wheat would be well over my knees and it would be heading out. We would have sprayed this with fungicide over a week ago. And actually we wouldn't spray this field because they always run this field with a ground rig, but most of the wheat in this area, we're going to be applying fungicide by air, no wheel tracks, higher yields, less field damage. like we like to say, fly it on. But anyways, the wheat looks awesome. They've had good moisture, and most of the wheat in this area looks great. It's just all differently timed. So again, we have super young wheat right here, but across the road, for example, that wheat's gonna be a little bit taller. We're gonna spray that with fungicide a little bit sooner. Let's go check out some beans. A little bit less promising, not nearly as nice looking as the wheat, but nonetheless, it's what's happening around us. All right, so after this wind event that came through here, Tyson had some fields to spray 2 or 3 days afterwards. And as he was taking off, he's like, someone killed the end of the runway. Someone killed the end of the runway, they killed part of this wheat field, and the bean fields looked decimated as well. So he was thinking someone sprayed something and it killed parts of this area. Actually, what had happened is the wind had just blown so horribly through here, and it blew dirt and dust into the grass, covering the grass. It literally looked like dirt. And then it also went into the wheat field quite a bit, and you can just barely see it right now. It's definitely coming back, but you can see where the edge of that wind event took place. This field was replanted, but when I was out here after the wind event, a lot of the rows looked like this. Basically, just dried up dead plants. It's really crazy if we walk over to the tree row because of all the dirt that's built up from that wind. This is typically flat, and you can see where this dirt was just blown in here, almost like wind drifts. Like if you're in the desert, sand dunes, what are those called? Drifts? I don't know. It's just crazy to me looking at this, and then it blew into our runway and into the wheat field. This is where it got our runway. It was basically just a bunch of dirt blown onto our grass, and you can see the grass is coming back, but even here you can see the line of where that dirt was blown. So it's probably a little bit hard to see, but in this wheat field you can see a line, and that's basically where the wind came in. A lot of this is coming back. You can see some of it's died, but it's looking a lot better now. It was younger, smaller. It's kind of grown out of it, but still you can see the line where it was affected from that wind and dirt. All right, that wraps up our mid-season update. I wish I could tell you that we sprayed 100,000 acres, that life is great and nobody's stressed out, but that's just not the case. This is just what it looks like inside the agricultural industry and ag aviation industry. There's just so many unknowns, and we are at the mercy of Mother Nature. Again, with massive flooding in the spring, getting the crops in the ground late, finally getting those crops in the ground, everyone breathes a little sigh of relief. 2 weeks later, we have a massive wind event come through and wipe out a bunch of crops. So then they replant. It's just these cycles that continue, and it can be a little bit discouraging at times. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. We'll get back to you. Also, leave a comment with what's happening in your part of the world. We'd love to hear it. Thanks again for watching. I'm Callie with Aviation Adventures. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Aviation Adventures. We're doing a lot of behind the scenes daily stuff over on Instagram on our stories, so be sure to find us over there.